All right, everybody. We want to welcome you to our Pennsylvania term limits team. Let me just move this little screen out of the way. Here we go. And my name is Ken Quinn with U.S. Term Limits, and we want to thank you for joining us this evening in Pennsylvania. And let me introduce two of the leaders here in Pennsylvania on the Pennsylvania Term Limits team. To my bottom left, looks like right to you guys, is State Director Chris Lehman. Hey, Chris, why don't you say hi to everybody?
How you doing there, guys? I'm on the left on my screen, Ken, but that's okay. I don't know how we got it confused, but don't worry about it. Yeah. Hey, everybody, I'm glad that you are joining because we have a lot of work to do, and I'm looking forward to working with you.
All right, Chris. And to my right is Legislative Advocate Mike Riley. Welcome, Mike.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Facebook Live and the Pennsylvania Term Limits page.
Okay, so now this is the first time we've done this in Pennsylvania, so this is going to be kind of just like an introduction on what we're doing in Pennsylvania. So I'm going to provide a little bit of an overview of the whole project. For those of you that are new to this Facebook page, you might have signed a petition at one point. If you haven't signed our petition, I'm going to walk you through doing that once we get to our website. And first of all, what we are working on, obviously, is a term limits amendment for Congress. So this is only for Congress. And we are doing it using the U.S. Constitution. If you're not familiar with Article 5 of the U.S. Constitution, it's one sentence. It's a very long sentence, but it's one sentence. And basically, there's two ways to propose amendments. Either both houses of Congress by a 2/3 vote needs to pass the amendment, and then they propose it out to the states for ratification. It requires 3/4 of the states to ratify. So today, that would be 38 states to ratify it before it becomes part of the Constitution. Now, I don't know about you folks, but I highly doubt that Congress is going to propose term limits on themselves. Now, it's not impossible. It's just a very heavy lift. So the other option that I'm really fired up about is that we can actually get this done without Congress's approval. They will have no say whatsoever. They will have no vote whatsoever. And that's the second option that's never been accomplished in our history. The second part of Article 5 allows the states to propose amendments if 2/3, or today would be 34 states, pass what's called an Article 5 application. Now, we need the states to pass the same subject or amendment. So this subject matter is a congressional term limits. Once we do that, Congress has to call the convention. They're forced to call the meeting. And all this is just saying date, time, and location is where states you can meet. And once that happens, all 50 states will send their delegates. Technically, the term is commissioners. And they will meet there, debate, draft the amendment, vote on it. It's one state, one vote, and then send it out to the states for ratification. And then it's the same ratifying process, 38 states to ratify. So we want to talk to you about that option, and that's why we're live tonight. That's why Chris and Mike are here to let you know what's happening in Pennsylvania. Now, first of all, we need you to communicate with us. So if you're watching this, please type into the chat thread. I think you have to give your Facebook profile permission to do that. And what we want to do is have people ask questions that way. We can't bring you on the screen. We can't take a phone call. You can ask questions using the chat section. And I don't know if you can see anyone right now, Mike, if anyone's chatting it. I don't see it here on my end, but if you happen to see any, just let me know.
I'm watching.
Okay, so we have currently in Pennsylvania, we do have our resolution. And so what I want to do is hand this over to Mike Riley, your legislative advocate. Mike's been working with me now for, half a year, maybe a little bit longer. And we've spent quite a bit of time at the Capitol. And Mike, why don't you tell everybody what's been going on, what you've been working on, and where we're going to need some help.
Sure. So far we have Representative Ryan McKenzie and about 12 of his friends down at the Pennsylvania Capitol that have joined us in sponsoring House Resolution 444. So you can find that on the website. If you go to PAlegislation.com, you can look up House Resolution 444. That is where we are at the beginning. We are still working on trying to get a hearing on it at the State Government Committee. So the State Government Committee is the committee inside the Pennsylvania legislative folks that are, that's where the committee starts. So the way the process works is it goes to committee, they evaluate it. Once it goes out of committee, then it goes for a House floor vote. And then because it's a concurrent resolution, it would move over immediately to the Senate State Government Committee. And then the Senate would get an opportunity to vote on it. The goal here is to try and get this accomplished by the end of June of this year, which is the end of this legislative session. If we don't get it passed through the Senate and the House before the end of June, then it will go back to the beginning of the process. And in the next legislative session, we'll have to start all over again, get another resolution, go back into the state or the House or the Senate State Government Committee and start the process all over again. So how we need your help is to continue to contact your legislative representatives, specifically the House representatives now, and ask them to sponsor House Resolution 444, especially if they're on the State Government Committee, and you can find that again on that Pennsylvania Legislative website. You can look up who is on the House State Government Committee, and that'll absolutely tell you who we're trying to target. So we've got some really good sponsors and supporters here in the local area around Harrisburg. Representative Ryan, Representative Lewis, several other folks that are kind of close to Harrisburg, York, and those kind of folks. Where we really need help is if you live in Philadelphia or you live in Pittsburgh, contacting your representative and asking them to also sponsor this. The unique thing about this is term limits is a nonpartisan issue. However, here in Pennsylvania, most of the people that have logged on and sponsored House Resolution 444 are members of the Republican Party. So definitely need help with getting some of those folks out there on the Democratic sides of Pennsylvania to help me get that passed forward. So that's kind of where we stand at the moment. Continuing to press on meeting with people down at the Harrisburg when they're in session. And we're going to eventually, sometime in the spring, work with Representative McKenzie to try and get an action day or an education day put in place down in Harrisburg to try and get more education in front of our legislators on what is Article 5 and what exactly is it that we're trying to get with this resolution. So that's kind of an update on where I am from my side.
Overview, Mike. And before we jump to Chris, what I want to do is show people how they can actually help us. And so if you go to our website, termlimits.com, I want to walk you through in Pennsylvania how you can help us. There are some current actions. Can you guys see that screen right now?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. So under current actions, go down to Pennsylvania state action, and this is what we need everyone to do. If you haven't done this yet, please do it. This will send a message to your representative. Now, I'm not going to fill this out because I'm not in Pennsylvania, but once you add your name, contact, your address, because we need that information to know what district you're in so we can connect you to your legislators. A message will pop up. We have several messages. I believe most of these messages are going to ask them also to sign our pledge. We have a pledge that we're asking all candidates, but especially legislators in Pennsylvania, to sign. And I think right now we only have 3 signers in Pennsylvania, so we need a lot more. And I know, Chris, that's something that you are been working on, and Mike, you've been getting these. We need more, though, and that's where you folks will help us, because they really need to hear this from their constituents. And, you know, me coming to the state, I don't even live in Pennsylvania. Some of them are willing to sign it, but I think the more they hear from you folks, the better chances we have of getting those signed. And it's really powerful because it basically is them committing to you, their voters, that they're going to support this resolution. So, Mike, great overview. And Chris, why don't you share a little bit about what you've been working on in the state? And when you get to the section about volunteering, I'll pull up the screen to show folks how to do that. And I'm going to just back out. I'm going to turn off my furnace so there's no background noise.
Okay, well, basically I started with term limits back in August, and I went to one of the seminars up in Harrisburg and got real turned on because I've been trying for 35 years to make a difference somehow with legislation, both in the state and the federal level. Since then, I've been pretty much on fire for it, and Ken decided that he wanted to make me the grassroots guy and develop grassroots support and get people to help us out, to call their representatives, their senators, and talk about Article 5. Now, I've been really working hard. I'll tell you one thing that really made me feel good is November 5th, I spent the day over at the voting location where I live. There were 220 votes, and I had 185 people that voted sign the term limits pledge, which I'm pretty happy with. But really what I need at this particular stage of the game, I need those people that signed, that said they were interested in helping out, to actually put their shoulders into it and let's get something going. I know I haven't been out to see all the people. It's kind of difficult to do that, but I plan on it. I see Isaac is online. He's the guy from Indiana. Hey, thanks for getting on, Isaac.
Hey, Isaac. Thanks, man. Appreciate your support.
He's going to be our Indiana or Western Pennsylvania rep. He's all fired up.
Yeah.
Got to get him literature, signs, all that kind of stuff. And I told him today that I was going to send that stuff out to him. But the big thing is we need the people that signed the pledge to try to help us out. And when I say help us out, you can spread the word in your neighborhood. You can go to your work location, anywhere you know people that probably feel like you do, that we need to take back the government and allow the states to basically control a little bit about what's going on in the federal government. I go, no matter where I go, of course, I'm a nutcase that way, whether I'm in church or over in the grocery aisle at the Giant store. I'm always talking to people about term limits and giving them a card and saying, sign the pledge. I only had one person since I started, guys, that basically wouldn't do that. So I'm real hopeful that if we get enough people volunteering, that this will be a success in our lifetime. I'm certainly hoping that we can get this through in this legislative system, and I know Mike and Ken are looking for that too. So I'm just going to let you go from there, Ken.
No, great job, Chris. And Chris, you're doing a great job. This guy is on fire in Pennsylvania, and he's a bulldog, and I really appreciate your passion. And Chris has been getting it done with getting petitions signed, setting up events, calling people. He really needs help so that he can provide. Basically, Chris needs to provide an army that we can bring alongside both Chris and Mike at the Capitol so that we can meet and have conversations with the state representatives and the senators. They need to hear from their constituents, and we can't do this. We can't do it with three people. We need folks in Pennsylvania not only sending emails, making phone calls, but showing up. And we're going to be having more information about the lobby day that Mike was referring to, where we're going to have pretty much an all-day affair at the Capitol. We'll have a rally. We'll be hopefully having a lot of appointments pre-set up so that we can have this conversation with the legislators. We're going to ask them to sign the pledge. We have got to move support to passing H.R. 444. Now, we're looking really, really good on the committee. I'm feeling pretty good right now. I personally, along with Chris and Mike, have had a lot of conversations with the committee members, and I think we're in a pretty good position, but it can always get better. The other thing that we need help on now is once we have the counts on the committee, we have got to get leadership on board, and that's where we really have a lot of work to do. And Mike, I know that you got an email from our sponsor saying that we need to also start working on the Senate State Government Committee. How many, off the top of your head, would you guess, Mike, how many legislators are there on the State Government Committee and leadership? About maybe 25 to 30 total?
Yeah, there's very many people on either one of the committees. There are probably 20 to 25 on both committees. So it's definitely doable with some additional help getting in and meeting each one of those persons.
Yeah, so if you are watching this, maybe you got it in an email, please do us a big favor. Go to the Pennsylvania State Legislature website, go to the House and to the Senate. We'll start with the House, look up the leadership. And if you know any of these people, please help us. We need, relationships are key to this. And conversations are key. You know, we can send emails after emails, but you guys know most of them are not going to be opened by the legislators. They're just going to go into the junk spam folder or the delete folder. And we got to have conversations taking place. And so I'm here to help for that. I know Chris is here to help, and Mike. So for those of you watching this, if you can, well, Chris, why don't we show them how to sign up in Pennsylvania so that they're going to get calls and emails from you. So while you're talking, I'm going to pull up our website.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to tell you that all the volunteers that I've talked to over the last couple months have already received all the information on the leadership and everything else, Mike. I've sent them all that information. I've contacted all of them. As a matter of fact, on the 3rd, I'm going to be up in Harrisburg, and I'm going to be dropping packages off and talking
did anybody else just drop off?
I don't know. I see Isaac still on, I believe. But the point is, everybody has received all the brochures that they can print on their machines, their Xerox machines or fax machines, and distribute them around the neighborhood and with people that they work with, people that they know from church, and start the process going to get these people on board and supporting you. Really need your help. So go ahead, Kenny, you want to talk to them now about this? I'm looking at signing the petition.
Yeah, let me, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so there's two things. If you have not signed our petition yet, please do so. It's termlimits.com. That's our website. And the first thing you're going to see is sign the petition. Now, what we do with this is there's really two things. When you sign the petition, you will go into our database, and that's how we communicate with our supporters. So you will receive emails from me when it comes to what's taking place in Pennsylvania, any upcoming votes, hearings, rallies, events, things like that. And then also you'll receive some emails from National to let you know what's going on around the country. We don't send a lot of emails, so don't feel like you're going to get bombarded day after day with emails. You can always unsubscribe if you don't want to receive these anymore. And the second thing we do is we let the legislators know how many folks in their district have signed the petition. So we can provide them the number of people in their district currently that support this. And so that's how we use the petition. What I want to show you is if you want to help us, if you want to get alongside Chris and Mike in Pennsylvania, the best way of doing that is going to the top tab where it says take action, and then the second item down, it says volunteer for USTL. Click on that, and it's a very short survey to fill out. Once you input your contact information. You'll have about 10 quick questions all on this one screen, and it'll just give you ideas on how you can help us, whether it's writing letters to the editor, maybe getting petitions signed, things like that. We have a lot of different ways folks can get involved. If you want to host a meeting to have either Mike or Chris come and present, those are great because we want to get in front of groups. We want to get especially in front of activists. If you belong to a Democrat or a Republican county committee, we love presenting to those because that's where the activists are. And so please, if you want to help us, this is critical because now once you fill this out, we know that you want to help us. And so this goes to Chris. These are the people he's calling. So you're going to get put on Chris's calling list.
And I will call you.
Oh, yes, you will.
You down. Hey,
We'll
by the
chase you
way,
down.
Isaac has come up and put some things there. Yeah, he needs to contact his Senator Joe Pittman's and let him know that you're for term limits as well as your congressman in your area. And anybody else that's online listening to this, if you sign the petition, you need to contact your representative and your senator, and you need to send them emails periodically and stay on them that, hey, I really want this. We really need to do this. And everybody that I've met, all the representatives up in Harrisburg that I've met have been very receptive. The 3rd and the 4th this month in February, I'm going to be up there 2 days. I have lots of appointments for the 4th. Now, unfortunately, on the 3rd, they're actually going to be listening to Governor Wolf. He's going to be, I guess, stating, whatever the heck he wants to do. But it's like an impromptu thing for me to go up there and see if these representatives are in their office. And I have no problem whatsoever in just walking right in there and introduce myself and tell them who I am and what I want to do. I've already emailed everybody so they know I'm on my way. I've talked to all their staff. They're on board with this, but I need help from the rest of the people here in the state. So you guys have to really make an effort. And I'm asking you that sincerely. Okay, guys?
Yeah, Chris needs some help. And I don't see us on the screen, so we're having a little bit of technical difficulty. I don't know if out there in Facebook Live world you can see us, but
I can't see you either.
Okay, so I can hear you. So if you guys out in Facebook can still hear us, we're going to continue. We're going to be wrapping this right up. But that is the plan. You heard what we need. You heard what we're trying to get accomplished. And so these gentlemen need your help. And so please, if you are watching this for the first time, hearing about what we're up to, maybe you've signed our petition in the past. If not, please sign the petition. If you want to help us, please go to that volunteer section and click on that to let us know how you want to get involved. It's really critical that the people or the legislators in Pennsylvania see the support amongst their constituents. So that's going to be really critical to our success. Now, a few things before we wrap this up. We're going to have some information coming in the coming weeks about Term Limits Day. So mark this day on your calendar. It is February 27th, which is a Thursday. We chose that day last year to have an annual event called Term Limits Day because that's the date that the 22nd Amendment was ratified to the U.S. Constitution. And the 22nd Amendment is term limits for the president. So, hey, if term limits are good enough for our president, it's time. I think it's good enough for Congress, don't you? And so that's what we're working on. And we need your help. So stay tuned. Make sure that you are getting our emails because that's how we're going to be best. That's the best way that we'll communicate with you. And we'll be doing a lot of calls to action. Stay tuned for our upcoming hearing in the House. Hopefully we'll be having that in the coming weeks. We're going to need people to show up to that hearing and to testify. and then hopefully for a successful floor vote. So, gentlemen, any last words that you want to provide to everybody out in the Facebook
Yes,
line?
I had somebody else jump in, Lynn Trexler. Hey, Lynn, thanks for logging in here. And she can't see the screen either, but she can hear us. Lynn, please give me a call, 484-753-3780. You guys are welcome to call me anytime. And I have to get you guys literature, and I've got to get yard signs to you, and I've got a bunch of stuff in here, but I need to get off my butt and drive around and see you. But I need you guys to be interested enough to give me a call and get into action.
All right. Well, listen, I think that's a wrap. That's 25 minutes. We didn't want to go too long. We're going to call an evening, a little technical difficulty here at the end, but thank you for your time, and we'll be doing this again next week. Good night now. Bye-bye.